everybody has this low threshold for being ignored, giving and not getting. People are kind of a little intolerant towards that, especially when they find people taking advantage of them. But all the responses to those you give and you don't get back, all those responses that from you are based on ego. So when you love somebody and you do all these great things, you give them money, you give them time, you give them attention, you do all these favors, and nothing comes back, you're mad. Instead of being loving still, now you're angry with them and upset. So you gave love and it produced you being upset. So the part of that equation rests with you, because you can't control what other people will do. You can't give other people things, whether it's your love, your attention, money, material things, with any hope of getting anything back, especially your children. If you give it to them with no strings attached and expect nothing, you'll never be disappointed. Trust me. Yep, won't be disappointed. But if you're given things, well, I'm going to love her, but and you got this great relationship, and now all of a sudden you feel that person doesn't love you equal. Not just they don't love you back, they don't love you as much as you love them. You put a price tag on your love. You're saying, I'm loving you, but if you don't buy, I ain't selling anymore. We're closing it down. So you have to get to a point where you have to take the ego and your feelings and just set them aside and look at everybody as a reflection of your own self. Maybe that's a delusional self. Maybe that's an immature self out there causing problems. Maybe that's an enlightened self out there. But all these other people are just your mirror. And what you see in them that really ignores you, really upsets you, is usually those things that you got to seed. It's like, I hate people with egos. Then I look in the mirror and say, oh yeah, okay. Yeah. Where's that seed coming from? Right. So it helps me reflect when I see that in others. The first thing I do is reflect inwardly and say, time for me to look at my own ego. Before I start casting stones at somebody else, let's take a look at that. Why am I seeing that in someone else? So anger and hate are fear-based. Love is based on the light. So when you're dealing with people in relationships, take a look at how you talk, body language, how you respond to them, how you act with them. And if you're talking to them or sending them emails, which is very dangerous nowadays because people say everything in emails, take a look at that content. Do you think that's going to move them closer to the light and to love? Or is it going to move them more into the gray, into the darkness? There's no good and bad, sin, not sin. I'm just saying, no judgments. Just, is this going to take you closer to the light, closer to love? Or is it going to be the darkness? For example, you cheat on your income tax. Okay, you're in the gray area a little bit. Okay, if you don't get caught, you're over here. But if you cheat on your wife, that's closer more to the dark over here, right? So, but there is no such thing as a small piece of love. You never know what you're going to do. I had a mailman that worked for me when I worked for the post office. I was a supervisor. And I wonder why he was running a little late on his route on various days. And then I went out and I watched him. And then after I seen what he did, I didn't say nothing because the guy he was doing a service. He was out there and he had little old people on his route in his trailer park. I never had any visits from anybody. They were alone in their trailer all day long. When he came down his little Jeep, they'd come out and they had somebody to talk to. And if they didn't come out, a couple of days, he'd get off his Jeep and he'd go knock on the door, see if they were okay. And I think once he found a woman on the floor of her trailer. And I'm thinking, no, he's giving something. That's true service. It wasn't for him just to take a break and go get a donut. He was actually giving something to these people. So you don't know what you do. Somebody's had a bad day, and sometimes you just listening to somebody is huge. In fact, I'm finding out now that I'm older, I actually give less advice. I now go more into a listening mode. I let everybody, kind of do their thing until they get done. And after they're done, after they've vented, then we could kind of look at it. But most people I should almost say all people, me included. Everybody's looking for a hug. Everybody wants to be appreciated. Everybody wants to be liked. That's why, uh, who's that hugging saint from India? Amma? You know, that's why she's so popular. That's what the people want, right? She gives it to them. Here's a hug, a spiritual hug. Great. She loves you. What more do you need? So you have to be like that. You don't go out and hug everybody. That's dangerous. But mentally, you have to reach out and embrace people. Mentally, you have to not judge people. So when you're judging others and your ego's bruised, that's when you have a hard time showing love, because now you're protecting something. I gave something, I didn't get something back. Give and take. You have to get past that. You have to get to the point where St. Francis' prayer, I don't know it verbatim, but basically it's about, it's not about being understood. It's about understanding. It's not about getting. It's about giving. It's not about speaking. It's about listening. That prayer is more important today than it ever was. Now we're in a day and age of selfies, and everybody's promoting themselves. It's self, 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 self. Nobody's just sitting there and listening. And I think when I talked earlier about meditation, when you take that time to listen to God, realize that your children and other people out there, if you see them as God, it's just like the end of the meditation, you're listening to God. So listen. Now, there's some crazy people out there. You don't want to listen too much. There's some crazy people out there, but all in all, send those people love. Reflect back love. That's all. So yeah, it's a hard thing. I've talked to people that there's a new story. I was acting chaplain, assistant chaplain at Folsom Prison, Johnny Cash, Folsom Prison. And I was in the hardcore section. They put me in with the lifers. We're talking guys that are in there for murder, rape, brutal beatings, multiple stuff. And they locked me in this room. It was my first day there, the first hour. And I was in the chapel, and they said, why don't you take this group it meets? There's 18 of them. They're all lifers. They're all murderers. I say, okay, great. No guard, no weapon, no alarm button. And they put me in this room with these guys. And I'm going, I'm trusting. I said, okay, great. So they all kind of, there was a couple of guys who were just kind of, like gangster types and everything. And I'm not going to pull this gangster thing with them. I'm bigger and tougher than you. So I went soft. I started gently talking and just tell me about yourself. Tell me about your childhood. By the time I got through, there was 18 of them. 2 hours later, I had gone around the table and they just told me about their childhood. They were crying. These grown men were crying in front of each other. I mean, it was really gut-wrenching. But when you realize what these guys went through, one guy that's he murdered several women, and you wonder, well, what caused that, right? And then you listen to him when he's a 7-8-year-old child sitting outside his window, listening to his mother scream as she's getting beat to death by the father. Then the father come out and tell him, you better not say anything, it'll kill him. At 8 years old, that's going to warp you, right? So I listened to that and I realized everybody condemns these people because what they did was condemnable. I mean, there was bad stuff these guys done. And they're locked up where they belong so they don't do any harm to anybody else. But I saw them as human beings. And when I saw them as children, and I saw what happened to them, they connected with my empathy. And they opened up and they started crying. And anyway, so yeah. So empathy for others without crippling yourself brings love. Because when you understand everybody's going through something bad. Even a guy with road rage, don't engage in that. Somebody's got road rage, apologize, love them, let it go. Love is what this world needs.